Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, what's up, Las Vegas? Good morning. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us on a Wednesday, hump day, and it's really cold and rainy and crummy outside. It's just a coronavirus day. I'm sorry, that was just a horrible joke. Anyway, we got plenty to get to, plenty to talk about. A very special mystery guest will be joining us in studio in hour number 2. We will get to that. And Alex Jones, that's right, Mr. InfoWars himself, got arrested yesterday. We'll explain what he did, that and much, much more. But I want to start with, what's on everybody's minds, right? Everybody's talking about it, whether you live here in Las Vegas or you're across the world. It's the coronavirus. And we're going to get to how some people, in my personal opinion, are making idiotic decisions, particularly those who make decisions inside casinos that are shutting down buffets because of the coronavirus. Completely idiotic. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Yes, this is a serious thing. Yes, it shouldn't be mocked. Yes, people should be taking precautions, just like the flu. But we are not in a situation where a bunch of people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, or maybe even 50s, if your health is average and you get the coronavirus, you should be cured. The people that are losing their lives are those that have other health complications. Again, very similar to the flu. However, if I catch the flu, I'm going to the hospital. I'm going to take antibiotics. They don't have antibiotics for the coronavirus, and that is why people are freaking out a little bit. There's no cure for the coronavirus right now. That is why people are freaking out. So, yes, it is a serious situation. But I'll tell you something else that is serious. When people start calling it the Chinese coronavirus, the Wuhan coronavirus. And I'm not talking about everyday people. I'm not talking about people in the media. I'm talking about politicians who are just using racist terms, and it damages people. I'm specifically talking about House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, who yesterday drew very heavy criticism after he referred to the coronavirus in a tweet as the Chinese coronavirus. And now Democrats are demanding an apology. Of course, why would Republicans demand an apology? They support their own no matter what is said, correct? It's unbelievable. He said everything you need to know about the Chinese coronavirus can be found on one regularly updated website. First of all, there's no evidence to support that this is the Chinese coronavirus. No evidence to support that anybody did this intentionally. Representative Grace Meng, she is a Democrat out of New York. She said that she is embarrassed to be his colleague. She said she's disgusted, and she awaits his apology to the nation, the Chinese American, and others for his stupid comments. She said this labeling of the illness is embarrassing, disrespectful, offensive, and downright disgusting, and it's shameful. And guess what? She's right. California Democrat and former presidential candidate Kamala Harris also slammed McCarthy's remarks, tweeting, calling it the Chinese coronavirus isn't just racist, it's dangerous and incites discrimination against Asian Americans and Asian immigrants. I agree. It does. She also added, delete this tweet now. It's beneath the office of a member of Congress, let alone a party leader. And during a Tuesday hearing on the coronavirus, CDC Director Robert Redfield says the virus is no longer bounded by Chinese. Therefore, it would be inappropriate to call it the Chinese coronavirus. When it originated in Wuhan, China, Redfield says 99% of the cases that occurred outside of China. This isn't China. Right now, the epicenter, he said, the new China is Europe. And McCarthy is not the only lawmaker over the past week to tie the virus to the region where the strain originated. Representative Paul Gosar out of Arizona, not too far from here, also came under fire after calling it the Wuhan virus. He said, I am announcing that I, along with 3 of my senior staff, are officially under self-quarantine after sustained contact with a person at CPAC who has since been hospitalized with the Wuhan virus. What is wrong with some of these morons? These are the people that are running our country, and they have no idea what they're saying, no idea what they're talking about. It's insane. McCarthy is nothing more than a buffoon, and a racist buffoon at that. This is not the Chinese coronavirus. Stop it with your nonsense. Do you know that there are some people now that are buying guns? Sales are skyrocketing among Asian Americans who fear the coronavirus-related attacks could come up against them because of idiots like McCarthy who call it the Chinese coronavirus. Again, these are the people that are running our country. And oh yeah, speaking of the people that run our country, Mike Pence, did he do a jerk circle yesterday? Did he try to pray this coronavirus away? Well, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. There's no photos to prove that, only a photo from last week. But this is something that is just incredible to me. It's absolutely incredible to me. Mike Pence said that he and Trump will continue to shake hands after they said the exact opposite a few days before. Pence and other administration officials held a press briefing at the White House. They stood in front of a printed graphic that laid out the best practices of avoiding contracting the coronavirus. And among those suggestions were considering adjusting or postponing large meetings or gatherings and stop handshaking. Listen to what Mike Pence said yesterday at the White House.
As the president.
Go ahead.
Look, as the president has said, in our line of work, you shake hands when someone wants to shake your hand. And I expect the president will continue to do that. I'll continue to do it. What this is a broad recommendation for Americans. But a really good recommendation is to wash your hands often. And all the experts tell me that while people want to get the various sanitizing lotions, washing your hands with hot soap and water for 20 seconds is just as good as any lotion you can buy.
Why does he keep talking about lotions? Is Mike Pence use a lot of lotions in the bedroom? Why does he keep using the term lotion? It's just weird to me. Why can't you say hand sanitizer? Why does he keep saying lotion? I don't know, it's just weird to me, that's all. Is he allowed to buy those lotions without his wife? That's what I'd like to know. Anyway, just weird. Pence is just a really weird, dumb guy. I'm sorry, he just is. And here's proof of that. They just said to not shake people's hands the day before. Do we realize how stupid this guy is? They just held a press conference. They just said don't shake people's hands. And he just said in that clip he's going to shake people's hands. Do we not understand how dumb this guy is? Seriously, ladies and gentlemen, what an idiot Mike Pence is. I just wish him and his lotions would go pray somewhere and just get the hell away and just shut up. He should have nothing to do with what's going on with this coronavirus. Grab your lotions, Pence. Grab your prayer lotions in your jerk circle and get the hell out of the White House. Get out of Washington. Get out of politics. It makes no sense to me at all. Oh, hold on a second here. Wait. I believe we have Rush Limbaugh. Rush wants to chime in on this. Rush, do you have a problem calling this the Chinese coronavirus? What do you have to say about this? Okay, I get the picture. You know what? Let's just give that guy the Medal of Freedom. He deserves an award for that. That was great. And then we wonder why in this country some say there are racists here. We have McCarthy, one of the leaders of the party, who's calling it the Chinese coronavirus, when there's no evidence to back that up. And even if there was, what an insulting thing to say, to say that the Chinese people created this virus on purpose. It's absurd. Doesn't make any sense. And now we have the Vice President of the United States with conflicting things. The Vice President, Mike Pence, just telling the American people in a press conference that shouldn't shake people's hands. And now he's saying he's going to still go to all these campaign rallies and he and the president are going to shake people's hands. Do you not have a problem with that? Do you not have a problem with the vice president not getting his information right and confusing people? Do you have a problem with Republicans calling it the Chinese coronavirus? Do you think that's racist, or do you think it's just fine? Not insulting to Asian Americans at all. And now we are learning that gun sales are soaring among Asian Americans because they're afraid. They're afraid that they're going to be blamed for the coronavirus because people like McCarthy are spreading that word around. Do we remember after 9/11 when Muslims were afraid all over the country, people that had nothing to do with Al-Qaeda, nothing to do with 9/11, but Muslims are being assaulted across the country for no reason, for just being Muslims. And now Asian Americans are afraid. Asian Americans are afraid because of idiots like McCarthy and other irresponsible racist Republicans that are calling it the Chinese coronavirus and spreading lies. The number to call if you want to be a part of this conversation is 702-257-5396. Again, if you want to be a part of the conversation, give us a buzz. Your thoughts on this, 702-257-5396. Your thoughts on the vice president with mixed messages saying don't shake people's hands, and then 24 hours later saying he will shake people's hands. Do you have a problem with that? Do you have a problem with Republicans going out there calling it the Chinese coronavirus, not apologizing for it, blaming the Chinese people when there's absolutely no proof to suggest that? Do you have a problem with that? 702-257-5396. Again, that number, 257-5396, is the number to call. Let's start off with Eddie. Eddie, you are first up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Yes, well, it's a scientific fact that most flus start in China, but I've heard the term German measles to describe rubella. I mean, they use the term Russian roulette to describe a suicide game, a Mexican standoff, going Dutch on a date, welshing on a bet, so on and so forth. I mean, it's just one of these things where everyone's so quick to call someone a racist. It did come from China.
Okay, so let me just read.
Work on their health standards.
Okay,
I mean,
Eddie.
They're back 100 years when it comes to their food safety.
Eddie, let's just talk about this specific virus, okay? I'm giving you the words of the CDC director, Robert Redfield, who knows a lot more about what's going on than me or you, okay? He said that the virus is no longer bounded by China. He said it would be inappropriate to call it the Chinese coronavirus. He said while it originated in Wuhan, China, 99% of the cases that occurred outside of China. He said this isn't China. Right now, the new China is Europe. He also called it irresponsible to call it the Chinese coronavirus. So what would you say to him?
So I'd say it's somebody who's probably made a lot of money on deals with China over the years. It's okay to call it German measles or Russian roulette.
I just said
on a bet.
Okay,
you didn't respond to any of my points.
No.
Mexican standoff.
The reason why I didn't. The reason why.
Eskimo
Okay.
kiss.
All right,
I mean,
Eddie.
there's all
All right.
sorts of stuff.
Appreciate the call, Eddie. Have a nice day. I just said I'm not talking about any. I'm talking about this specific situation. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Steve. Steve, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
Hey, Brian, how you doing today?
Good, man. What's on your mind?
Two things quickly about the shaking hand thing. Can I just mention something about that? Is that okay?
Yeah. Go ahead.
People are ripping people off, charging ridiculous prices for hand sanitizer. Just take a bottle of alcohol, mix a teaspoon of liquid soap with it, and you got the best hand sanitizer in the world. 80% alcohol or up, and there you go. But there are a lot of people that probably from touching the different things and, will spread the virus. But that's a simple homemade formula that will stop it dead,
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what, I'd rather do that than pray it off like Mike Pence.
Right.
I'll tell you that.
Here's something else. Now they're saying the buffets in Vegas are going to start shutting.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that coming up next segment, Steve. Trust me when I tell you I have some very strong opinions on that. So just hang tight on that one.
No, Brian, we can't blame the Chinese. We don't know exactly what this is all about.
Exactly.
But it's affecting everybody.
Exactly.
Try to all work together and solve it. That's the best thing we can do.
I agree, and I don't think we should call it the Chinese coronavirus. Steve, good call. I appreciate it. Good to hear from you. Again, that number, 257-5396. We're talking about Mike Pence, few days ago telling people not to shake hands. Then he holds a press conference yesterday and showing no leadership qualities at all and pure stupidity says that he will continue to shake hands and Donald Trump will continue to shake hands. You want to talk about the definition of a lack of leadership and stupidity? Mike Pence is your guy. Join the jerk circle with Mike Pence. 257-5396. Let's go to Paul. Paul, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, guys. Well, first of all, let me tell you why, in my opinion, it is not racist. If it was called the UK virus or the United States virus, would that be racist?
Where is it being called that?
It's not. But it's just because China, their race is called Chinese. If they said it was,
but we have the CDC,
the virus from China.
Well, here's why I think it's racist. I can only give you my reasons why I think it is. You have the CDC director who's saying it should not be called the Chinese coronavirus. You have the CDC director calling it irresponsible. He's saying that 99% of these cases occurred outside of China. So when the CDC director says that, and our own politicians are not following what he says, and they're calling
that doesn't make it racist.
Oh, I do.
I hope you'll let me explain. And the reason it may be wrong, but it's not racist. You know, there's a slur that is used towards Chinese people, and I'm pretty sure we all know what it is, and I'm not going to say it. But if they use that slur and then said virus, then it would be racist.
You're blaming okay, but
I'm not blaming anybody.
Okay, listen.
All I'm trying to say is it's not racist.
Okay,
all
well,
I'm
here's
saying is,
I understand.
If it was a United States virus, it wouldn't be racist.
Okay,
it would just be
but here's where we disagree. I understand what you're saying, Paul, but here's where we disagree. You're blaming a nation and a nationality for this virus.
Not a nationality, a nation.
Okay, well, you're blaming the Chinese
virus. We're so diversified that it wouldn't be racist. But I have a cure for it.
You're blaming the Chinese people. How is that not blaming a nationality?
I'm not blaming the Chinese people.
I'm not saying you personally. I'm saying if you call it the Chinese coronavirus.
It's not blaming the Chinese people. They're saying where it originated.
But the CDC director alone is saying it's not the case. Why are they not listening to him?
Then it's not racism. It's bad information.
Well, what's ignorance? Ignorance is racism, right? When you're ignorant,
no, it's not. No, it is ignorant to be racist. But if you're ignorant, doesn't mean you are one.
Okay, so when you blame a nation, and they shouldn't be blamed. What is the reason why McCarthy is doing this? Give me the reason.
If they blamed us for it, it wouldn't be racist.
You don't think McCarthy knows? Okay, but you don't think McCarthy knows what the CDC director said? You don't think he heard those comments?
He may have, but it still doesn't make him a racist. It makes him a fool for giving out bad information.
All right, well, listen.
Let me tell you what. I've had the coronavirus. And you know how you cure it? Just add lime, baby.
All right. Well, listen, Paul, we could agree to disagree. That's fine, my friend. I appreciate the phone call, okay? All right. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Trevor. Trevor, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Yeah, I got something I want to say to Mike Pence. It puts the lotion.
Thank you for the call, Trevor. We appreciate that. 257-5396. Let's go to Rick. Rick, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's up, Rick? 257-5396 is the number to call. We're talking about Mike Pence. We're talking about the fact he told people to not shake hands, right? He said it. He said it in a press conference a few days ago. And then yesterday, he says he's going to continue to shake people's hands, and the president is going to continue to shake people's hands. Do we not have a problem with that? This is supposed to be the man that is in charge of the coronavirus. 257-5396. Let's go to Robert. Robert, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's up?
Yeah, good morning. Hey, listen, I have to agree kind of with that last caller, too, though. You know, I can't see calling it Chinese. You call it a Hunan virus. You're not blaming the people, but you're giving it a name where it started. And just because you're saying, well, now it's in Europe, it shouldn't be named that. What's wrong with naming it where it started? It's not racist.
Because the CDC director says it's irresponsible. The CDC director, who's Robert Redfield, is the one who said that it is not bounded by China, therefore it's inappropriate. He said that 99% of the cases are outside of China.
The only reason it's inappropriate because we have such a big deficit, and China owns the USA, and they don't want to insult them. That's what it is.
I don't think that has anything to do with it, with all due respect, Robert. I just think it's irresponsible for a politician to make a statement like that. And now there are people, Asian Americans, who are, buying guns because they're in fear. They're afraid. And in a way, Robert, this reminds me a little bit of 9/11. The days and the weeks and the months after 9/11, there were a lot of Muslims in this country that were in fear for their lives. In fact, some of them were physically assaulted because there are a lot of dumb, ignorant people out there that are going to listen to what McCarthy says, and they're going to hold anger towards Asian Americans. You cannot deny that there are going to be some ignorant people in this country that are going to put all the blame on the Chinese people. And, you never know what could happen. That's the only thing I'm trying to say, Robert. Listen, for intelligent people or even semi-intelligent people, they're not going to blame, Asian Americans. But there are some people out there that will, and it's just dangerous verbiage. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah. And, and hopefully it's not going to get worse, but this is getting so overblown. I can remember when the swine flu was out there, and you hardly heard a peep about it compared to what's going on now. It's just crazy.
Well, I don't necessarily disagree with you, and there's some facts to that, and we're going to talk about that in the next segment. And you're right. I think it's going on both sides, Robert. I really do. I think that it's being overblown on one side, and then I think on the other side, I think some people are not taking it as serious as it should be. I think it's going on both sides. But, Robert, I appreciate the phone call. Thanks very much. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. We're going to take some more calls on the other side of the break. And, yes, I am going to talk about how the MGM properties are now closing down buffets. It's absurd. Talk about the stupidity. I mean, it's just unbelievable. We'll get to that coming up. We're going to get to more of your calls at 702-257-5396. And again, that number to call is 702-257-5396. We'll get to all your calls, as I said, on the other side of the break. We're also talking about the Vice President of the United States. One day saying don't shake hands. The next day saying he's going to shake hands. The president's going to shake hands. You want to talk about a lack of leadership? Why does he keep bringing up the word lotion, too? Just bizarre. Anyway, we'll get to all your phone calls on the other side of the break. Take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take. All right, welcome back. It is The Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us on a Wednesday. Well, pretty soon, if you're thinking about going down to some of those MGM properties and grabbing a nice buffet, it's going to be closed down. Yeah, that's right. Yesterday, MGM Resorts International announced it'll be temporarily closing the buffets at Aria, the Bellagio, MGM Grand, Mandalay Bay, the Mirage, Luxor, and Excalibur. This will be effective on Sunday. I'll tell you, if they really wanted to make a great decision, they would have closed down the buffet at Circus Circus 2 decades ago. Every time I go to that buffet, I get sick. If you want to do anything positive, close down the Circus Circus buffet because I get the Circus Circus flu, and that's not racist, ladies and gentlemen. I just do. But let me just explain real quickly how ridiculous I think this is. Hey, this is absurd. And by the way, for the record, MGM properties, they're not going to allow locals to park for free, though. They're still going to continue to charge people to park over there, which is a joke, and it's an embarrassment. It's why I don't gamble at any of their places anymore. But now they're closing down the buffets in fear of the coronavirus, they say. Yeah, and right. And a Caesars employee, by the way, was told to go home, at least one employee, for wearing latex gloves. Who are the people that are making these decisions? Like, what is it? A manager at one of the buffets says, hey, maybe we should shut these things down because of this coronavirus. Are you going to shut down the buffets because of the flu? You dummies. God, it's just so ridiculous, some of the decisions that MGM properties have made. It is so stupid. Now, Ocasio-Cortez, your favorite, is getting involved in this. She's now ripping the lack of business at some of these Chinese restaurants over the coronavirus concerns. She said, honestly, it sounds almost so silly to say, but there's a lot of restaurants that are feeling the pain of racism. People are literally not going into these Chinese restaurants. They're not going to these Asian restaurants because of just straight up racism around the coronavirus. That's what Ocasio-Cortez says. Your thoughts on that? Your thoughts on Mike Pence as well. But here is some audio of Ocasio-Cortez talking about that very subject, people not going to Chinese restaurants over the coronavirus. Here's what she had to say.
Honestly, it sounds almost so silly to say, but there's a lot of restaurants that are feeling the pain of racism, where people are literally not patroning Chinese restaurants. They're not patroning Asian restaurants because of just straight up racism around the coronavirus. So,
well, that's Ocasio-Cortez for you. She certainly doesn't help her cause.
I've never heard a politician say straight up before in a statement.
She certainly doesn't help her cause as far as being extremely eloquent and intelligent when it comes to certain things. I don't know if people are racist, and that's why they're not. Maybe they're just a little afraid. Guys like McCarthy don't help when they call it the Chinese coronavirus, but maybe they're afraid. I don't know if that necessarily means because you don't want to go to a certain restaurant. Maybe they hear the dirty dining segments every Thursday on our show. It's possible. I wouldn't say that's racist.
I've been asking Darcy about that for the last month or so, and she said that business has been down for Chinese restaurants, and I'm not surprised that that's not the case. But if that's who also is losing a lot of business is Corona. Is that racist?
No, I don't think that's racist. I think it's just people are dumb. That's what it comes down to.
Okay.
People, it's the same people. Listen, the people that are not buying the Corona beer are the same people that are closing down the MGM buffets. You people are stupid. You're dumb. Number to call, 702-257-5396. What do you guys think about this out there listening? What do you think about some of these buffets that are closing down in Las Vegas? I think it is completely idiotic. Yes, we should take this seriously. Yes, we should take precautions. Does that mean restaurants should be shutting down? Do we shut things down because of the flu? No, you call in, you get a sick day, you go to see the doctor, and if you're in okay health, you'll be just fine. It's just ridiculous. Now, with that being said, I'd be afraid for my family. I'd be afraid for my parents that are in their 70s. Yes, it's serious. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Brian. Brian, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Brian?
Morning.
What's up,
I
Brian?
just wanted to say, I disagree with most of what Brian says, but in this case, it's definitely hurting the Chinese people, and the reasons are, is, like you said, the food sales are down in the Chinese restaurants. Just the other day, I was in a store, saw a Chinese or an Asian guy coughing, and turned around and walked the other way.
Yeah,
but,
and that doesn't make you a racist.
Right, I would do the exact same thing.
It doesn't make you a racist.
Right.
Unfortunately, when you hear, and I don't blame you, Brian, quite frankly, when you hear people all over the place saying that it's the Chinese coronavirus, then you're going to be worried. And when you see an Asian American cough or sneeze, that's the first thing you're going to think of. Listen, Brian, I think that way even if someone's not Asian and I see someone coughing or sneezing.
Let's be honest. The virus originated in Wuhan, China, right? And it's zootonic, so it came because people were interacting with animals and they were eating them or they were doing something they probably shouldn't have been doing.
That's not 100%. We don't know that for a fact, so I don't want to speculate.
There's a very good chance that is the case.
Okay, well, I'm not going to speculate.
Now, I would have a much bigger problem if it was called the Mongoloid virus than the Chinese virus, but it did originate in Wuhan, China, Brian.
Yeah. Well, and then, Brian, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Would you stop shaking hands during the flu season?
I'll be honest with you. If I get the flu shot every year, so the answer is no. If I didn't get the flu shot, I'd be a little bit more careful. But I get the flu shot every single year because I've had the flu before, and it's not fun, as you know, Brian. The point I'm trying to make, Brian, and by the way, I appreciate the phone call.
Yeah,
the
call,
the point I'm trying to make here is this. Mike Pence, the other day, said that you shouldn't shake people's hands. You should take precautions. And then yesterday, Jerk Circle Pence decided to get up in front of a microphone and say he'll continue to shake hands and the president will continue to shake hands. I have a problem with misinformation. I have a problem with confusing the American people. I have a serious issue with that. 257-5396. Let's go to Chuck. Chuck, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian, I agree with you on the boycotting those casinos, but I disagree with you on the flu thing. There was the Mexican swine flu, there was the Spanish flu, there was the Russian flu, and the German measles.
Okay. What does that have to do with the coronavirus?
Well, you're saying the Chinese.
He's just saying there's been a lot of viruses that have been labeled by the country they originated in.
I understand what he's saying.
And so, therefore, it shouldn't be considered racist because there's precedent. It's happened several times before to different countries.
So I understand what you're saying. But again, I'm repeating myself over and over again. The CDC director says it's inappropriate to use that term because it's not factually accurate. You have plenty of Asian Americans that are in fear. Gun sales are way up with Asian Americans. And then you have a lot of Asians in this country that are hurting financially with their businesses. It's unfair to them.
Everybody is. This is a deep state ploy. You figured that out.
What do you mean it's a deep state ploy? Explain to me exactly what you mean.
The supply chain is they're going to feel the effect of this.
Explain to me what you mean by deep state. Tell everybody what the deep state is, please.
The deep state?
Yeah. Tell our listeners what you mean.
Strings. Trump isn't one of them. He's trying to flesh them out.
Okay, that's not what I asked you. Explain to me what the definition is of the deep state, please.
Central banking, all that.
So are you blaming Democrats, or because a lot of people that use that term?
There's some on both sides.
Okay, because a lot of
the perfect example is when they put in when they had everybody endorse Biden like the same minute. I mean, that should tell you something.
I don't know. So are you blaming Democrats or not? Are you blaming Democrats for the coronavirus? Are you saying?
No, I didn't say that.
Well, a lot of people that use
they're both.
I'm just saying, Chuck, I understand what you're saying, Chuck, but the reason why I ask you is because there are some idiots, not you, there are some idiots that use the term deep state, and they want to use that term and blame Democrats and liberals for everything, and I have a problem with that. Now, listen, you're right.
Romney's one of them. He's a Republican.
Well, listen, there are people on both sides that are politicizing this. And I don't agree with it on either side. Let me be clear on that, Chuck. I appreciate the phone call. There are some
call, Chuck.
There are some whack jobs, every day that use the term deep state. Like the idiot who from Infowars who was just arrested for DUI. We'll get to that coming up in hour number 3. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Andy. Andy, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Andy?
Hey, guys. Hey, so I agree with you on the whole buffet thing. It's just stupid. I think one easy fix on that is you get the people that actually work there. They can actually serve the people their food. That's one way of kind of minimizing, passing germs.
I agree, Andy, but I don't even think you have to go that far.
No, you don't. But I mean, if they want to take caution, they don't have to go to the extreme and close them completely.
So can I ask you a question, Andy? There. And you're right, by the way. I agree with you.
The question is, when you touch a surface and you have the coronavirus, how long is that virus sitting on that surface? And if it's a multiple hour period, then I don't think shutting down the buffets is a totally unreasonable decision as long as they don't shut down the best buffet in Las Vegas.
Why not shut down?
The question is, how often do they clean those areas?
Right, exactly.
Here's a question, Andy. Yeah. What do you think is more dangerous to people, a buffet or people touching chips? But I don't hear them closing down the casinos. Let me tell you something. Chips are some of the dirtiest things that you can touch.
They definitely are.
I don't even
they wash them like once a year.
I haven't heard of any casino shutting down all the table games. Have you?
No, exactly.
Yeah, exactly, because
I agree.
Because they're idiots, that's why.
What might be going on with the chips is they're so dirty already that they're actually, the current viruses they have on them are actually overriding the coronavirus.
Do you know how many times I've touched my crotch and then gambled? I won't. That's a horrible joke. Andy, I appreciate the phone call. Thanks for calling in, man.
Great call.
Yeah,
awful joke.
Yeah, how many of these casinos are shutting down their table games? No, it's not happening because they're greedy idiots. That's why. And I'm specifically talking about MGM properties. Explain to me, MGM, why you're shutting down your buffets, but the casinos remain open. The slot machines are still working properly. Everybody can touch those slot machines and eat and do whatever they want. Anybody can touch those casino chips. It's ridiculous. 257-5396. Let's go to Brady. Brady, you're next.
What's up, Brady?
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. Problem is with this virus, it's an aerosol virus. Those droplets, once that virus is in the air, it's like a minuscule droplet, and it can stay to 6 to 8 hours wherever it falls onto. So we have a big problem with it. And I happened to watch this morning the House Oversight Committee, and Dr. Fauci was on talking about this virus, and I was literally scared. I won't say the word, but the percentage rate of people, the mortality rate on this virus is 30 times more deadly than the average flu. So when you're seeing these places like New York and Massachusetts, you're seeing outbreaks triple overnight. It's exponentially happening now. You're seeing the beginning of the virus. We have a lot of stuff coming ahead of us.
Brady, I think it's okay to be concerned. I think it's okay to take... Hold on, let me just finish. I think it's okay to be concerned. I think it's okay to take this seriously, Brady. There's nothing wrong with that. However, if you can't find me one person under the age of 50 that has died from this virus, then that would lead me to believe that if you're in decent health, you're going to make it, you're going to be okay.
Oh, there's plenty in China that were under 50 that died. The mortality rate, the ones in Italy, the average rate was over 80. But in China, it was average middle-aged guys that were army material that were dying. So it was striking middle-aged males at a higher rate there.
Well, I think the problem is...
You've got to watch the statistics because it's all over the board right now.
Well, I understand.
And I will say this, the World Health Organization did just announce that it has classified the coronavirus outbreak as an actual pandemic. That just happened a couple minutes ago.
Brady, I appreciate the phone call. Actually, one of Brady's better calls.
Oh, that was probably his best call ever.
257.
He has some fear instilled in him.
257.
Clearly.
Well, listen, it's okay to take this serious. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Michelle. Michelle, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on, Michelle?
Hey, what's up, Michelle?
Hi, Brian.
What's going on,
Hi,
Michelle?
Dee.
How are you?
Yeah, it's not racist to call it the Wuhan or the Chinese flu, because immediately when you said that this morning, I thought of the Hong Kong flu and I thought of the Spanish flu.
Every situation is different.
That's where it originated. So we should call it. How about calling it something cute like the Wu flu?
Well,
kind of rhymes.
Again, this is the point I'm trying to bring up, Michelle, and I think this is important. There's a reason why gun sales are soaring among Asian Americans. There's a reason why many Asian Americans are hurting financially right now. And
the whole travel industry is hurting. It's not just the Chinese.
Here's what I don't want to see. I don't want to see in this country what happened back 9/11. If you recall,
it's not going to happen.
Okay, well, how do you know that? How do you know that?
The Asian people are afraid of buying guns. I don't believe that. I don't think they're out there in fear. I think anybody in the restaurant industry, like a lot of Asians are, they're going to hurt. This is impacting everything, the airlines and the hotels and the food industry. Now, I got sick, Brian. I want to share that with you. It started on Saturday, so you're welcome to ask me any questions about having the flu in 2020. I've been agonizing. My body has been through hell on earth. But I did not have the two symptoms that they said the coronavirus to be aware of. That shortness of breath, I've never experienced that, and I never experienced a high fever.
Right.
But it has been horrific.
Well, I experienced.
So now I'm coming up on day 5. This is day 5, and I'm finally feeling better.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, me too.
I experience shortness of breath usually on a nightly basis if I'm out with a girl or something. I experience. I'm in bad shape.
Go.
Well, I'm in bad shape.
That's my man right there.
Well, Michelle, I'm glad you're feeling better. Please take care of yourself, and we appreciate the phone call.
That's a good point. In about 98% of cases of the coronavirus, there's a high fever of about 102. Yeah. So if you are experiencing those symptoms and you don't have a fever, the chance, they won't even test you for the coronavirus under those circumstances.
Again, going back to the buffets, I mean, really, what idiot decided to make the decision to close down the buffets but keep the casinos open? Listen, I think it's an overreaction, but if you want to close down your entire casino and I think it's an overreaction, but at least be consistent about it. Don't shut down your buffets and then keep the employee buffet open and then keep the casino open and let everybody touch the chips and let everybody press those slot machine buttons, because every single time somebody puts in a bill, there's a good chance you're going to get it. You're greedy and your stupidity frightens me. That's what frightens me. Keep charging people to park locally. It gets me angry.
You're saying go all in. Just shut down everything. Don't try to make it look like you're making a small effort when you're really not making any of an effort.
Yeah, it makes them look like a-holes. That's what it does.
Because the chips are
the dirtiest thing you can touch.
Extremely dirty compared to that. Okay, that makes sense.
Absolutely. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Lewis. Lewis, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Lewis?
Hey, guys, you know what? Great point about the casino chips, but you're asking a question that you already know the answer to, so why continue to talk about that?
Well, I'll tell you why, Lewis, because this is what we do on this show. I try, if I feel strongly about an issue, I'm going to call people out on it. Doesn't mean they're going to change their policy. Doesn't mean anything is going to change. But it would just be nice if once we could have an industry and a casino. Well, let's be honest, it's all about greed. Let's call it for what it is. They try to be the good guys, and you know what? We should call them out on it. Some idiot decided to say, some brilliant moron decided to say, hey, let's shut down those buffets. Let's act like we're actually trying to do something. It is absolutely ridiculous, because I guarantee you can catch more diseases by touching those chips with viruses going around than you would with food.
And again, I'm not going to call it greed. I'm going to call it capitalism.
Look,
they all definitely practice high-end capitalism, and they have, and that's why Vegas exists. That's why Vegas is turning into the city that it is. The casinos are a large part of that, and you can't deny that. But I wouldn't call it greed, Brian.
Right?
You don't think it's greed?
You know what? Why don't you get someone on from MGM? Because I can guarantee.
I would love to.
It's probably a cost-cutting effort. Casinos are buffets are too expensive. They lose money anyway.
I'll tell you what, Lewis.
Even more money being as expensive as they are.
Lewis,
but that's not why I called.
Okay, quickly, go ahead.
You, Brian, are politicizing this as much as the mainstream media is. And
Really?
if you will allow me to finish, I would appreciate it.
Okay, please, but I'll give you a minute. We got a lot of other people on hold.
You're talking about Pence, and if you listen, you've got access to the clip. He says, the president says, in our line of business, we shake hands. And that's what we're going to continue to do.
Which is ridiculous.
Well, but it could be ridiculous or not. And he also specified that they're guidelines for the general public. And you are flipping it.
No, I'm not flipping it. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. No. With all due respect, when the vice president, whether it's in your line of business or not, and by the way, nobody says the vice president or the president has to shake hands. Okay, whether it's in your line of business to shake hands or not, the president and the vice president need to lead by example, and they need to be consistent with their thoughts. When you tell people not to shake hands and then 24 hours later you say you're going to shake hands, it's called mixed messages and a lack of leadership. Let's go to Kirk. Kirk, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Kirk?
Kirk, are you there? Kirk? Kirk, I'm sorry. We didn't hear you there at the beginning. Go ahead, Kirk.
Yeah, maybe it's a big hoax, right? Do you know anyone with it? I don't know anyone with it. Who knows anyone
People
with it?
have died with it, Kirk. What do you mean?
So, yeah, what's their names?
What's their names? There have been
How about
reported.
it's a big hoax? Well, you report people die all the time, but they're reports. I mean, do you
So
trust the
for the
mainstream media with
record,
everything? And you
Kirk.
got the CDC closing Coachella, closing this, closing that. They're
Kirk.
trying to scare us. Come on, see through the light.
Okay, Kirk.
It's a big hoax. It's not real.
Okay, Kirk.
Wake up.
You going to let me ask you a question?
Yeah,
Kirk,
go ahead.
For the record, you're telling me you think there is no coronavirus and it's all a hoax. Is that what you're saying?
I have reason to believe that it's a big
And
hoax.
what is your reason to believe that? Please be specific.
Well, the thing is that they want us in fear. The thing is you have SARS.
What is your reason? I don't want to hear they want to put us.
They want us in fear.
Who wants you in fear? Who?
CDC, the bankers,
Why?
the Rothschild family.
Why?
Because they don't want us to be free human beings with our own imagination.
So they decided.
When we're in fear, we're not vibrating at our highest potential. We're in fear. We're easier controlled.
And why does the CDC not want you in your highest potential? What would be their reason for that?
Well, they've always vaccines. Come on, you put a vaccine in someone, you're.
So those people that are sick. So okay, so let me ask you this:
That should be an epidemic.
So those.
Right?
Okay, so let me ask you:
every time they increase
30
the vaccine,
people
increases autism.
Okay.
Vaccines, the biggest coincidence on earth.
All right, so those people that are 6 feet underneath the ground, that medical.
Supposedly.
What do you mean supposedly? There are families.
Who knows what? They could have died from a flu.
Okay, so you're telling me that.
And then the coronavirus was
So
there.
you're telling me that
now
doctors.
We're labeling it the flu.
Okay, so Kirk, you're telling me that all the doctors and all the medical professionals are lying because the CDC doesn't want you to be at your fullest potential. Is that your position,
know. All
Kirk?
The doctors aren't saying that.
The doctors that have worked on, the doctors that have worked on all these people that tragically have lost their lives have put on the medical report that not only did they have coronavirus, but they died from coronavirus.
All right, but coroners have lied before because in Chicago.
So do you believe in AIDS or the flu, or is that all cancer? Does cancer exist?
I believe. Sure, AIDS is a low,
How about cancer? Does cancer exist?
Yeah, of course. Cancer
so why does cancer exist but the coronavirus not exist?
If you go on a plant-based diet, cancer will be extremely low.
So
the cancer rates would be extremely low.
All right, Kirk, I will say this. The CDC, I will say this. The CDC is definitely doing their job because your brain is certainly not working at the highest potential. I will absolutely say that. I will agree with you. Let's go to Joel. Joel, you're next.
Kirk.
Joel, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
What's up, Joel?
Hey, with regard to the MGM, I would be willing to bet a week's pay that the decision to close the buffet came from their insurance company, that their major issue is liability, and they don't want to be sued.
So, Joel, if that's the you might be right, Joel, but if that's the case, then why wouldn't they shut down the entire casino altogether?
You're asking a question I have no answer to, but
you understand why I asked that.
I'm a small business owner. Liability insurance or liability is my biggest issue. And I would just assume, I don't know that this is true, but that it's their insurance company that said, look, this is a big liability for us, having all that open food, people walking through, the whole deal, and that maybe it would be a good idea to shut down the buffet.
Joel,
especially with
Joel, you might be right
with it being an air-based virus, and you're not. I mean, you've seen a lot of lawsuits based on buffets and food poisoning, et cetera, et cetera. You haven't really seen a lot of lawsuits over the last, we'll call it 50 or 100 years, based on chips being dirty and someone getting sick from that. So I think that based on that track record, it actually does make sense that the insurance company got involved and said, this is our biggest liability, let's take care of this. And also, buffets don't make money. That was a good point as well.
Again, if that is their biggest liability, then I would make the argument that playing in a casino, touching the chips while people are sneezing and coughing, touching a slot machine while people are slobbering all over a slot machine is certainly just as big of a health risk, maybe more, than a buffet.
But while that may be true, lawsuits have not been filed predicated on that premise.
Well, the lawsuits have been, as far as buffets, bad food. Maybe a food that somebody ate that went bad, food poisoning. But I think it's completely and utterly ridiculous, and I think it's just another example of casinos being greedy and wanting to be involved, wanting to do something. All right, we have a very special guest when we come back, JD. His name is Doug Basham. He does a show every Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. We have a lot of Republicans on this show. We have a lot of people on the right that I do battle with on a regular basis. Well, Doug's on the other side of things. He's on the left. Should be a great conversation. Doug Basham coming up next. You're listening to The Vegas Take.